Call today's board meeting to order. Thank Richard and Ross have finished up their calls.
Yeah, we're off.
Thanks. So, this time I'll call the meeting to order. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from our last meeting?
I'll make a motion we approve those minutes from December 18th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting's approved. Financials.
Good morning.
Good morning.
In comparing the balance sheet for December 2019 to 2018, they are very, very similar in the amounts. Not much difference. The one thing I do want to bring attention to is our accounts payable is decreased about $6.9 million, and that is due to the prepayment of this year, about $5 million more than last year for our TVA power bill. And as of December 2019, our total assets are a little over $226 million. Moving to the revenue and expense statement, did want to talk about the revenues have increased a little from the December 2018 to 2019. I did want to report that I went back after the December board meeting looking at the November where our revenue and sales and compared what they would have been if we were still under old rates and where we changed the customer charge for residential. Everything was very comparable, and then talk to other distributors as far as their purchase power in relation to their revenue, and pretty much everyone had a month where the demand costs were higher to where they were not able to recoup that in the revenue as far as the losses. But for this month, we had a bit their sales and revenue and purchase power were more consistent. And anyway, our net income for the month was $626,000. One thing I wanted to bring your attention to was in the other income for December 2019, we had $62,000. In December 2018, we had $124,000, and the $124,000 was for November and December interest, because that was when we opened up the savings account with First Tennessee, and they did not give us credit for the November interest until December. And for net income for our first 6 months of fiscal year 2020 is just a little over $3 million. Moving to the statistical data, for December 2019, we had 67,171 customers, which was an increase of just under 4% in our customer base. For our disbursements and ACH transfers, for the month we had $12,585,707.87 for disbursements. One thing as far as looking at the accounts payable, that we did make a payment for where we're redoing Pitts Lane substation, had a little under $62,000 that we paid to service Electorate for that repairs and stuff, upgrades we're doing at the substation. In their bad debts, for the month of December, we did have 188 accounts that were uncollectible for a total of $25,266.32. There were 22 accounts that were over $300. Most of these were for the summer months where the bills were higher than normal to cover what the deposit we had. Had 2 businesses which were included in that list, and then we had one account that was over $800 That account had a $200 deposit, and the July-August bills for that account averaged anywhere from $350 to $400. So we did not have a sufficient deposit for those higher bills. Our deposit is based on the average and it's not the highest for residential. So sometimes that does hurt us in those months. And I did want to let you know that we did receive the payment from Jennings Tire. There was around about $11,000 in December to pay for that location that was out on Mark Allen Road. So our payments received on previous bad debts was a little higher than normal. But in looking at the bad debt analysis, our net bad debt expense for the first 6 months is $45,107.10, or 0.0494% of sales.
So Lori, you'd be safe in saying that this would be probably a 2-month bill?
Yes, ma'am. Usually it's about 2.5 because we bill in arrears, and then by the time we get to the point where we're cutting you off, it's about 2 more weeks, about 15 days.
Okay.
Any questions? Thank you.
Material purchases.
Mr. Chairman, this month I approved $173,753.04 that were under $25,000. Purchases between $25,000 and $50,000. We had $60,638.40. And we bought a lot of transformers this month, $145,708 for a total of $380,099.44. The number of transformers is just to keep up with the growth that we're experiencing. There's just a lot going on. So. I'll continue into the fuel cost adjustment for February. It's a little over 1.6 cents per kilowatt hour for standard and large and general as well, manufacturing in general. This is 15% lower than the 3-year norm for February, and primarily due to lower purchase power and gas rates and higher expectations for hydro generation. So these numbers have remained consistently low for a good while now, and the forecast, if you look there, is consistently low for the next 12 months. So good news for our ratepayers that TVA's fuel costs are doing so well. And safety, there's nothing in there, but which I apologize, should have put something in that said we didn't have anything, but the reason there's nothing there, we had no lost time, no accidents. We completed the calendar year. I think I reported in December we'd gone 12 months through November. And since then we've still yet to have an accident. So we completed the calendar year accident-free, and as such we'll qualify for some incentives from our insurance carrier.
Well done.
It's a tribute to the men and women that work safely in our safety program, and it's just it's really an amazing streak. We hope we can continue it, but our goal is to go home same way we arrived every day, and it's and I commend the people in spite of all the things that are going on third party with the merger and all, to stay focused on the job at hand and continue every morning going through your routines and your tailgates and keeping focus on what you're doing every day and not getting distracted. So that's commendable to all the folks out there. And I'll jump into my report. Got 2 of our employees that have completed their apprentice program, and on January the 18th they topped out and moved into a journeyman lineman position. So I'd like to recognize them at this time, Demaro Grayson and Dustin Dagg.
Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations. Just stay there.
There's one more.
Congratulations.
I prepared a little bit. Just thank you everyone, and all of the linemen I've worked with to get to this point. I appreciate everybody that's been involved, and it's a dream of mine to become a lineman. I'm here. Now the work begins.
Great.
Congratulations.
Okay. Appreciate the work that they put into that program. It's pretty intense training for 4 years, and it's a huge learning curve, so glad to have them topped out. We had an outage on Friday, January 10th. It's around 4:37. It's a circuit out Pitts Lane. A dump truck snagged the communication lines as they were leaving Providence Christian and caused some poles to shake and resulted in the insulator breaking, which led to the outage. But had about 1,300 customers in the neighborhoods along Pitts and DeJarnette Lane, and we got most of the power, partial power back on for within an hour and completely restored by 6:10 p.m. that night. That was, got it back on in time for PCA to play their basketball game and Oakland to play theirs. So the mayor happened to be at PCA, so he was an interested bystander that night.
Sure.
And and that coincided with the gunfight that was going on with the police and a fugitive there on Pitts Lane in Northfield. And I think, Brandon, you were out there that night, weren't you? Started hearing some popping. I think we
heard probably about a fuse ball.
found out it wasn't us. So fortunately, it was not real close to where y'all were. It was in the vicinity.
But it was close to the other.
So anyway, so a lot going on that night out there. But other than that, during the recent cold weather, we've had no major problems on the system at all. I know last Saturday, a week ago, we were expecting potentially some severe weather, and we had folks came in and standing by, but we managed to. Most of it broke up before it got here, and we were fortunate again to dodge that storm. So, give you a little bit of update on the where the merger is at. Of course, City Council approved it on the 9th, and then Middles Board approved it the following morning. And last week we submitted the proposal to TVA. They had it in their hands on Thursday, and so it's up to them now to start deliberating, going through the process. So they do have it. They are starting to review it. We have a meeting Monday with TVA Legal, and hopefully at that time we'll maybe gain a little more information into the timeline and have a little bit more information on how the process is going to go. So have that meeting in Knoxville on Monday. Yesterday we met with our key staff and middle staff to start talking about the transition a little bit, while not trying to get ahead of ourselves. We are, we've got some things that we've got to be working on so that when, if TVA approves this process, we feel like they've said 90 days, which would be mid-April. So we're thinking the earliest this could be effective would be May 1. And so we're kind of anticipating what needs to be done on day one, and we're starting to meet and identifying which groups we need to meet. For instance, the finance teams of both parties are going to have to work some things out, and purchasing, and we're going to set up an NIC transition team with our software vendors, some of their people and our people and Middles people. We had a meeting back in the fall where they came down and looked at both systems. We identified where there were some conflicts, and they identified what the scope of their work was going to be. But the good news is we're both on the same platform, so it's an NIC to NIC transition. So that's, as one of the ladies said, we love NIC to NIC. So the hard work's already been done. We've both gotten to NIC. So there, for instance, like out of 300,000 account numbers, I think we had 70 or 80 duplications. So it's really not that bad. I mean, I think there's a good bit to be done. Of course, originally we were targeting January, and they were saying they couldn't have the databases merged until May for accounting and June for CIS, customer service. So now we're still on that same timeline. So May we should merge the accounting databases, and of course, the important things come day one are being able to pay people and take payments, and that's the kind of thing. But and then we'd follow on June 1 with the CIS merging all the database, so that if a former middle customer came to our office, we could take payments and sign them up for service. Same thing if our people walked into one of their offices, they could do the same. But until those databases are merged, probably for that first month we'll be operating independent, they'll operate independent. So, but don't see major changes on day one. Some of these are going to take a little time to evolve. We're going to, one thing we need to do pretty soon is have an IS review, look at our computer systems and kind of work through all those processes. So Philip and their engineers and operations and Jackie are looking at construction units, and so customer policies, development policies for developers. We're very similar, but there's some differences, and we operate on different voltages, so there'll be some purchases that are voltage specific. We'll need to probably coordinate with them. But we had a good kickoff meeting yesterday, and so I think we've got a good idea where we want to go. There's a good bit of onboarding for the employees that's going to be required. When we say everybody has a job, but technically from their side, these are new employees, and they have to go through some of their processes for a new employee. And so, but we're going to kind of keep that as simple as we can, move that through pretty quickly. So a good bit yet to be done, but we did kick off yesterday with that meeting, and we'll continue having those every few weeks moving forward and breaking off into smaller groups. So very encouraged by that. I think Richard asked me this morning how the morale was, or how people were feeling, and the people were really excited the night of the vote. It was kind of spontaneous applause, and afterwards in the rotunda, both there was, of course, obviously a lot of our people there, a lot of Middles people there. Everybody was introducing themselves, hugging. Somebody in the paper said butt slapping. I didn't see any of that going on, but that was on Facebook. I'm sorry, and I didn't see any of that. But there were a lot of handshakes, a lot of hugs, and I think both groups are very excited at the prospect of what this can be coming together. So, but we want to keep everybody engaged throughout this period that TVA is reviewing. It's you're kind of excited, ready to go, and then you've got 3 months to wait on them to decide. So we want to keep everybody engaged throughout this process. So pretty encouraged by our meeting yesterday, and I think got really good staff working on this, and I don't anticipate a lot of problems. And that's really all I've got, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. HR, Gina?
Good morning.
Morning.
Our reports are kind of short and sweet as well this morning. In your packet, you'll see that we are moving one of our apprentice linemen to his 4th period. So Logan Barber will be wrapping up his 4th year in the apprentice program, and hopefully will graduate like the other 2 just did. And on the next report of our positions, this is just hasn't changed since last month. I did add a little summary at the bottom, excuse me, because I know Some people in the community have talked about all of our positions being on hold, so I just kind of broke down which of those positions were new positions versus replacement positions, and give you just some specifics on that. And then the other report that we always try to give you at the end of the year is our turnover rate. So on that report, you can see how many employees we had at the beginning of 2019 and at the end, and our turnover rate was 10%. We've listed the employees that left and what department they were in and the reason why they left. This is the same percentage as we also had in 2018, and a little better than what we had in 2017. So, any questions on any of that?
I want to make a comment about the positions on hold, and I guess it might be really for PD, but since it's during your time, I'll just kind of say, this, in your meetings, as you guys are starting to put some, ideas together, I think I wouldn't want to say something for the board necessarily without you guys saying it's, you believe the same way, but I think I've heard enough comments up here over the months that, that's been something that I believe the feeling of the board has been that it's a necessary but bothersome situation. I think that would be the way that I would kind of say that. We all understood why it was right and necessary, but it's always bothered me every time every time I'm in one of these meetings. That gigs me a little bit. I would ask that, you guys kind of move to the top of your list on your discussions. I don't mind even necessarily sending an email to Chris Jones, whatever, but I'd really like for you guys to have this on the top of your list if we, are still in a position to be able, I know there's some weirdness to being able to hire somebody right now, or have them hire them or whatever, but I would really like this moved to the top of the list as it relates to merger talks. I know y'all have a lot of operational things, but I don't mean to supersede other things that you need to do, but just be maybe a little more expedient about getting that moved up. And if we need to get some of this stuff done sooner than 90 days or whatever, I'd like to see that get knocked out, okay? So that's just my 2 cents worth on that. If there's any way to get that expedited, I'd like to see that happen, and let's get some of this stuff knocked out if we can, if it's logistically possible, okay?
I appreciate that. We had some discussions yesterday about staffing in certain areas, and that's something we're going to be reviewing and trying to identify what everybody's role is going to be going forward. So that is a high priority for us.
Very good. Very good.
And on the turnover, one thing I noticed when I was looking through it is we had 9 people leave the position or vacate their positions, but 5 of those were retirees, and I think that's important to note that we only really had 4 people leave the organization for another opportunity.
I think most
One
of
of
the
those was
employees are
part-time
excited about the
college.
opportunities. It's good.
Could you repeat that?
Pardon me?
What'd you just say?
I said yes, most of the employees are excited about the future opportunities. And then also, we wanted to note that today is PD's 30th anniversary with Murfreesboro Electorate.
Hey, congratulations. Awesome. Cool.
Thank you all.
Get some coffee to eat on that. I'm going to give PD
I thought you were going to give standing ovation.
I thought he had
You start backing up your chair, right?
I thought he was going to give him a prayer.
Congratulations, PD.
Thank you. It honestly doesn't really seem like 30 years, but
More like 40.
I was going to say 50, but
I really didn't expect to get 30 here 'cause at the age I came, but here I am.
I'd like to say congratulations, PD.
But it's been good. I've enjoyed it, and seen a lot of changes. And I'm not native here, but being here 30 years, it's changed drastically since I've been here. I think we had 21,000 customers when I got here. We got 67,000 now. It's changed a lot.
Thank you. Sir?
Thank you. Hope you're keeping yourself warm. And before you, sixth project, Mr. Chairman, good morning, and member of the board, Mr. General Manager. Just before you, the sixth project over here. You might recall we started off a pretty long list, but what I want to highlight a few things is probably item number 3, Rocker Lane. I was at the city land acquisition committee meeting. It was noted in that meeting that we will be putting out for bid, the city will be letting out for bid in January. So that project is going to get moving. We're excited about the project simply because it's going to help improve the roadway. Not only that, we're going to take over about 380 homes from Middle Tennessee, and then where they are currently served. This one of the very early effect that we can tell when we come together, we can tell the rest of the world and say, hey, this is how we do it, eliminating 2 sets of pole line into 1 set. Make it clean, make it good. And I think it's a showcase on Rocker Lane will be a good showcase to tell our members, our customers, that this is what we're doing going forward. So I believe this is going to be a good project, and we're excited about that. Because I don't get to build it. Our fellow lineman here will probably be the one to do the wonderful job for us. So the other one thing, I think that the other one I like kind of draw attention is Fire Station 11, Brace Drive, and they're ready for permanent power. So we got a call this yesterday or so that we're ready to get ready power for them. And again, the Seagull Park, the last project on the list, that is tracking along pretty well. So bottom line, or simply put, I think we're coordinating really well with the city and continue to believe to have a good relationship with the city. So Craig, you got anything against us? Anything to talk about me? I know you have a lot of things to talk about me, but it's not here. And congratulations to PD for 30 years. So I think you came in when 15, right? That's what I told you. Anyway.
Wish.
Philip, have you been talking to Middle Tennessee on these projects that we've got working right now and kind of the transition? And I'm assuming that Middle doesn't have lines already out here in these areas, so there's no duplication of projects.
Yeah, one of the, like PD indicated, yesterday was probably our first kickoff meeting. I think this conversation will be more and more. But really, it's just the initial conversation. Chris Bond had a meeting with T-Dot. T-Dot's going to let the Thompson Lane project. Yeah, Richard might remember that we always talk about how we can actually improve the roadway there. So Thompson Lanes is probably one of the projects that Miller is working with us closely to really want to kind of put everything on 1 set of pole line. And we're currently looking at, and PD is going to be presented by the engineering, the consultant that they use to really design the job too. So, and actually, if you look at it, Highway 99 in front of the World Outreach Church is probably one of the earliest projects that Middle works with us to let us actually run along that pole line. As a result, that once that job is improved, the road is improved, you not see the set of pole line in front of World Outreach. It's really it's a win-win situation for the community, for the church, and for us too. So I'm sure a lot of church members that goes there, we want them to finish the project, but I think we're getting closer. So the answer is yes, beginning to talk. And then this last week I had lunch with Gary Whitaker, our assistant city manager. He indicated to me that as we get further along, I'd like to talk to you a little bit more about how we should coordinate project in the future. So we're in the making on that. So PD and I are kind of keeping close in hand with the city, what's going on. So usually he gets a report from me every month when I go to the meeting with the city. It's a long answer, but yes.
Philip, can I ask a hypothetical question, and just logically thinking in the future of the electric power in the city, would it make sense, and again, this is hypothetical, for Middle Tennessee to eventually convert the voltage that we are on to theirs to have a universal system?
Not right away, but okay, for the outskirts of the system, for example, Cherry Lane area, at the outskirts of Veteran, we have make room for them like the Veteran substation. We have actually a bay for them eventually go into their voltage classes. But anything within our system, we're kind of pretty much confined and constrained by the design aspect of it. And to do a conversion, you can do that as you progress along, but not right away. I think maybe 50, 60 years from now, some part of it. But we still will always be operating on two system, dual voltage system. It's just the nature of the beast that way.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about Rucker Lane, for example. We're going to take down their lines with their voltage, put our lines up with our voltage, to one day, could be 50 years down the road, to go back and take down our lines with our voltage to put back their lines with their voltage.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking through the redundancies of that. But irrespective, it was a hypothetical question. You guys are in communication, and that answered your question.
Yeah, it should be foolproof to our customer. You know, at the end of the day, you get 12240, whether you come from 25 kV system or from a 13 kV system, and that's what we really want to do. And we talked a bit about material ordering. It's best to go ahead and order some cases a high voltage class installation. For example, a cable we buy 15 kV class right now. They use 25 kV class. Well, a little bit more, but you know what? At the end of the day, you don't have to stock two different classes. But of course, lightning arresters, we still have to use low voltage, not the high voltage, because you're going to blow the heck out of everything out there. So some things you just can't do it. So,
thank you.
Good question. Thank you. We will take those into consideration as we work with the kickoff team. I'm sure PD will report to us. So thanks again for allowing me to be before you all, and I think it's been a very successful track record to prove that communication is everything. You know, we needed collaboration is another thing that we've done. And I appreciate the board's attention to details and also the support from our general manager. Thank you again.
Thank you.
That's the last time.
Ivor.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm pleased to say the project is progressing very well this month. Our current project cost is just north of $578,000. We do have 7 buildings 100% complete. Our fiber splicers that's doing all that outdoor splicing did resume January 2nd, and they're making very good progress. As far as the overhead extensions that we had remaining, we had 3 remaining. We completed 1 yesterday. So really the 2 long extensions that we have are really to get to Sportscom along Haynes Drive and the new Fire Station 4 on Medical Center Parkway. The indoor fiber installation is complete except for 4 buildings. One is Sportscom. The plans we received, we've determined the route's not adequate. We're not able to use it, so we're trying to figure out another way to get into the building. Other than that, we are, as Philip mentioned, we're kind of waiting on the city for Fire Station 11, since that is a new project, to get all their fiber conduits in place. And we're waiting on the Rutherford County to install conduits for the sheriff's office. They're kind of doing a separate project through United Communications for the 911 emergency systems. With all that being said, we're still looking to be substantially complete in February. Any questions for me?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any action items to come before the board?
No, sir.
Anything else to come before the board? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.